All right. Hello, everybody. It's great to be here once again. Don't know why my glasses are still on. It's good to be here once again, as I just said. All right. We're going to wait a few minutes, see how many folks pop in. There was a little feedback there for a second on my end. We'll wait seconds, I guess, and see who pops in this evening. Good evening, brother Jorge. Thanks for being here this evening. I hope you're doing all right up there. I always forget to check the weather before I talk to you on the live stream to see what it is. But I know, obviously, down in my neck of the woods, it is a lot nicer. So I'm hoping it's getting a little nicer for you up there. I think down here we hit, I'm pretty sure we hit 72 degrees today. But it was a great day today. It was a wonderful day. We got out with the family. Um, dog. So we went for a drive. We checked out a few places out there. We went through Tellico Plains or up in that area, and then by Citico and so forth. And it was a beautiful day to be out with the family. So we spent some good quality time together, and that was pretty exciting. Looking at a few things, we checked out like a hidden lake campground area, then an Indian boundary. They call it Indian boundary. So it was great to have the everyone together. So it was really great to have them. No, sir. Are you serious? Are you getting 5 to 8 inches tonight? Yikes. Oh, Lordy, I don't miss that at all. I do not miss that one iota. Um, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I'm, I can somewhat empathize with you being from up in that neck of the woods originally, but I'm glad that's gone. Um, we're having what my wife calls a fake spring at the moment. So have a little bit of fake spring. Maybe, maybe next year you'll get. Yeah, no, no, no. I'm okay with that. I'm all right. We had enough cold weather down here, and as I mentioned before, some of the people, the locals down here, are saying that this is the weather in the last 2 years is very abnormal for this area, and I hope that's to be true because the whole reason to be down here was again away from that weather up there. We were driving. Brother Jorge, you'll appreciate this up in your area, especially some of the quarries, New Hampshire, and the way even at Route Two. If you travel down Route Two, you know how the highway is very close to on Route. Have the cliffs that go up. Well, there was a river down here. It was kind of the same thing out where we were. We're up on Ball Play Road. We're heading out that direction. And I'm telling you, the way that cliff was really reminded me of the rocks on Route 2. You know how they got a lot of it now has a wire mesh up on it. Some of the highways in Connecticut are the same way. But up in Massachusetts on Route 2, you have the wire mesh against the rocks to keep the rocks from falling. And that's what when we're going by one of these little lakes. I forgot to show my wife. Good evening, Prov Gal. I forgot to show my wife as we drove by, but it reminded me of Route 2 and how that rock goes straight up on the side of the highway, kind of how they dynamite through the area. But it was beautiful out this way in Tellico and stuff like that. So we're looking forward to checking out one of them campgrounds. I think we're going to settle in on. I got a feeling it's going to be Hidden Lake Campground, which is funny because we stayed at a place up in Connecticut. I forget, it was outside of Norwich somewhere, and it was called Hidden Acres Campground. So I thought it was kind of cool that we found a Hidden Lake Campground. So chances are we'll spend a couple of days there, maybe a long weekend or something like that in May. We're looking to purchase a used pop-up camper come the springtime. We'll see how that works out, and that'll be fun. We'll buy that. There's a lot of them on sale right now, but I'm not quite ready to grab it yet. I got to check the vehicle's tow weight and stuff like that, and we'll see. But it was just beautiful to have the kids with us, the dog, and we just took off and we traveled down these back roads. My wife doesn't get to see them as often as I do, obviously, because I drive for a living. But there's a lot of nice areas up here. Von Nor's got some nice spots. Tellico Plains is beautiful. I'd love to live in Tellico Plains. But it was nice. It was just a great day to be with the family and just enjoy God's creation. It's just, I mean, I'm always in awe. Same thing with my wife. I'm always in awe when we're out there and we just stand there, look at the multiple sceneries that we see. It's just beautiful. And I was just talking to somebody the other day that I don't know how anyone could be an atheist when looking at that. Now an atheist will go, well, let me give you these reasons. Whatever, man, just relax. It's just beautiful. Take the time to enjoy it. It's just amazing, and I'm thankful. Some beautiful places that I've only been up and down the East Coast and a little bit of a little tiny bit of Canada. Maine is beautiful. Got some beautiful areas. I've been all the way up to the tip of Maine, Van Buren. I actually canoed the St. Johns Valley River. Beautiful up there. It's a nice area. New Hampshire's got some great views up there, especially up in the Old Man on the Mountain Rock, Kangamangas Highway. Even Massachusetts, believe it or not, has some beautiful sceneries too. But I tell you, in my opinion, so far, Tennessee just has the best that I've seen. Virginia is beautiful when you come down the lower part of Virginia. That's a beautiful drive. It's gorgeous up in that area. We've got to hit the Blue Ridge eventually. We were just on a little bit of what's called the Cherahole Skyway. We enjoyed the drive today before it gets busy because people from all over come and travel down this highway, the Cherahole Skyway. Man, I mean, you'll have clubs like you'll have the Jeep Club and the Ford Bronco Club and the Motorcycle Club and the Camaro Club. I'm not kidding you. Each car club, it's like 18 of the same cars, or the Corvette Club, and it gets real busy in the spring and summer. I know when it gets real busy because where we live, we'll start seeing them coming down across our path, and that's when we know the season started for doing that run, because that road, Cherahole Skyway, travels from this side of Tennessee and it goes into North Carolina on the other side. I think it's Robbins, North Carolina. I could be wrong at where it lands on the other side. I always forget where it was. So we've done the whole gamut. It's real beautiful. You get really high up there. Again, if you go up to the White Mountains or the Loon Mountains up in New Hampshire, you'll get that. Up in Maine, when you really get past Kennebunkport and heading up that direction, it's beautiful. I mean, Old Orchard Beach and all that area is beautiful over there. And then you got, of course, the beaches down there. We don't have it. It's just lake beaches. But even the lake beaches are beautiful. God has created beautiful places throughout this whole country. I haven't seen them all, but God has created some places. I mean, Von Nor, I forget the name of that lake over there up heading towards Maryville. That's beautiful. Like I said, you got the White Mountains. There's that river there off of Kangamangas Highway. If you're ever up in New Hampshire in that direction, there used to be a beach. Well, if you're coming from the Main direction on that highway, there's one of those beaches, a white beach. It's a white sandy beach, which is interesting. Beautiful out there. But to me, I still say Tennessee so far, from what I look at, it's beautiful. I love the drives, whether you're on 411, if you're going down 68, 68 South is beautiful. If you go across 11 to Rutledge, and again, people will be listening to me going, we don't know where those towns are. So I apologize. But those are, I just don't understand how you can not just be in awe of the creation of God. God has given us just amazing beauty, and I enjoy every part of it. It's just beautiful. Even the county roads down here, some of the county roads, just the county road, can have some beautiful views. I mean, a lot of cow pastures, a lot of cows out there, but just amazing views. So being with the family today, it was just awesome. Just spending time, not on the internet or TV or anything like that, just spending quality time as a family, going for the drive, along with, of course, our dog, Caroline. She's, of course, with us. That was probably the longest drive she's been on with us. So that was a good test to see how she would do long drives before we head down to, we might go down in May, we're not sure, down to the Gulf Shores in Alabama. I'm not so sure yet, but we might check that out. That'd be a beautiful drive down there. Take a couple days off and go down that direction. But it's just beautiful. I think everybody always feels nice when the weather gets nice. And again, down here being in Tennessee, I think it was 74 or 73, somewhere in that area. Um, but I'm sorry, brother Jorge, that you're going to get a little bit of snow up in that direction. That's a downer. That's a downer for sure. Um, but man, you can't be but happy when you see all these things. It makes me smile knowing that God's given us in times of difficulty. Sometimes it's, I think, a wonderful thing to get out for a drive and just look at the beautiful creation around you and really realize how wonderful it is. And I know some people can't get out for drives. I get it, but to be able to take a moment and take it all in is absolutely amazing. It's beautiful because unfortunately, a lot of times in this world today, people are just not all that happy and find ways to be unhappy. I refuse to do that. I can't, even though I complain about a little bit about where we live because we're a little closer to the city, so to speak. And when I say city, oh my goodness, what is the population of where we live? I think it's like 4,000 or something like that. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Um, but that's the closest big city. Well, Athens is the other direction. That's much larger. That's about 20 minutes or so that direction. And Madison, where we are, that's a not lot nicer area out there. But we're in a time of, and I know that everybody's excited and about the whole Trump presidency and this and that and the other. I'm not getting into politics. That's not what I'm doing. Um, I think more Christians get themselves so wrapped up and amped up about politics. I do not understand why. As a former political junkie myself, um, I spent a lot of years very invested in all of that. Um, I could tell you about a lot of different people. I just studied all of it for years. And I came to a point in my walk with the Lord when I realized, as a born again Christian, what do you care? What do you care? All that means nothing. It'll probably bring you down or give you momentary happiness. People say, well, you have to care, especially since Trump's doing the liberty, whatever law it is. And maybe I'll get into it eventually. I don't know. But who cares? You're good. You are absolutely 100% good because you are in the book. You live your life by this book, so you don't have to worry about a lot of things. I didn't say you weren't going to get arthritis. I didn't say you weren't going to get a sore back or this or that. That's not what I'm saying. You're good. Again, I'm reminded of that guy that I talked to one time, the older gentleman, when he was saying, I've never not had a job his whole life. Through every single presidency, he's always had a job, and he's always been able to feed his family. Now, it doesn't mean, he had to cut back in some under some presidencies. Some presidencies he ate less than others, or I shouldn't say ate less. He didn't have, the finest steaks in the world. Sometimes he wasn't eating filet mignon. Sometimes he was just eating fish fillets, but still, he was eating. He never went hungry because he's always kept his eyes on the Lord. And that's what we have to remind ourselves. Keep our eyes on the Lord. I hope you can hear me all right, and the microphone's not too far away. I just realized how far away from the microphone I was. But you don't have to worry about all those things. I don't care. I mean, there are certain things. Yeah, I like the prices to stay a little low. I was talking about different things. I like to stack up and stock up on certain things and be able to ride out whatever times come while I'm here, because I don't know when we're leaving. Yeah, people want to say 2027. People want to say 2030. People want to say 2040, 35, 25. It's just so many different things. I'm not concerned about it. And as born again Christian, we should not be worried that much. Keep your eye on a few things, sure, but don't get yourself all wrapped up in it. Don't get yourself depressed by it. Take a drive. Wherever you live, take a drive. There's beautiful areas. Virginia is beautiful. West Virginia, even pieces of Baltimore, a piece of Maryland. There's a lot of beautiful areas out there in this world. Just take a step back. Just relax. And if you don't have the beautiful mountain or the ocean out in front of you, here's an idea. Look at the ones you love. There's a beautiful view. The ones you love. Now I'm sound like I'm become one of them self-help tapes that you could buy. Did I say tapes? Oh my goodness, I am old. They used to have those self-help tapes you could buy at the stores, the audio tapes and stuff like that back in the day. Tony Robbins, remember that guy? Yikes, that guy's a wacko. Um, but don't worry about those things. I, I tell you, it's been a long time to get to where I am, but I'm blessed. And like I said, being a political junkie, no more. I spent years involved in that, years involved in. So when people say, "Yeah, but what about?" Listen, I've already studied it, been down that road, already know all about it. Not concerned. All the things that are happening now, I could have told you, 30 years it was going to happen. Well, but you're a prophet. No, no, not a prophet at all. The one thing I will say with my father that I was blessed with was the ability to listen to him teach me about a lot of things that was going on. Even Arab Spring, I didn't know it would be called the Arab Spring. I knew that was going to happen. Just studying when I grew up, studying history and studying political history and all that. You knew all these things were coming. It was just a matter of different time frames, and it's just and then when I got older and deeper into the word, then you start looking at what the Bible teaches you, and it's not hard to figure out. But it's gonna be grand, all right. Pretty sure that's not a word, but I guess I just coined one. Uh, so, but I'm rambling on like I always do. But it's been a great week. I mean, the weather's been good. I've been I've been trying to be a little more uh, accepting of where we live. We live where we live because my father needed to be closer to certain doctors and hospitals and things like that in the future. So, and the Lord provided us with a wonderful home. We're we're blessed beyond measure. I'll tell you, when we look at where we came from, what we've been through, and not that we're not the only ones. A lot of people have been through a lot of different things, but we're happy to be where we are. We are very happy to be where we are. Although dad's still a challenge, more so for my wife than me because she's home. I'm not. I work. She stays home and takes care of the house and the kids and my father. And so he's difficult. He is one of those people who can't seem to find happiness, which is unfortunate and sad. I think my computer is glitch. I thought there was a little glitch on my screen. I'm like, yikes! I know the internet is weird sometimes, and one would say, why take care of him? If he's not the same theologically and da da da, he's my father. You take care of your father and your mother if you can. I've said this before. Not all of us can, but that's what you do. That is your duty to take care of your father and mother. You want to take care of them, and unless you would rather put them in a home. Now, there are some people who have, and I am absolutely not condemning or judging those people. I will judge those who have the ability to take care of their parents, unless, again, I'll throw another stipulation in there. If there has been something very bad, a lack of eloquency here, but very bad that they've done, then yes, obviously. But if they've just been a plain old not great parent, whatever, they just weren't the best. Listen, I'm not. This is not a sob story, but my dad, no hugs, no kisses, none of that when I was a kid. No help me ride a bike, no play catch or anything like that. Now, some people will go on and like, and that's all. My whole life is miserable. My mommy didn't love me. My daddy didn't love me. Boo hoo. Now my life is all affected. Well, here's the thing. I have kids. You know what I do? I play catch with them sometimes. They ride bikes. They have one's got a small little dirt bike. We have fun all the time. We're playing game night. I spend time with my sons, and probably mostly due to the fact that my dad didn't spend all that time with me. So now, do I yell at my kids sometimes to get on their case? Absolutely, because I'm dad. It's just what I do. but I have a wonderful time with my children. So I don't want to hear people blaming their childhood how they can't be a better parent. No, that's not true. You can be a better parent. You can definitely be a better parent, and I enjoy every moment I have. I have trouble I'm having trouble figuring out why people can't find joy in their lives. I think I look at it more and more today than I ever did before. I see just so much angerness. I was going to say bitterness and an anger and kind of combine the two words there, but anger and bitterness and this and that, gotta let that go. You gotta let that go. People are gonna hurt you throughout life. Let it go. Move forward, because there's such a beauty in this world that we get to look at. We drive by beautiful things and views that we don't appreciate because of some nonsense that we're still holding on to. And I know people go, well, you don't understand. It's hard to let go of things. I'm willing to bet there's not a whole lot that one has been through that I have not been through. And that is not being precocious. I've been through a couple of things. One of my favorite lines I use all the time is from actually Ruckman. People go, he's a Ruckmanite. Yeah, not even close. I've known some birds. Indeed, I've known some birds. I've hung with some birds. I've had some of those birds as my friends back in the day. But we've got to move forward and move on. I'm starting to feel like a self-help. Well, I guess it's called fellowship and exhortation for a reason, right? We're fellowshipping and trying to exhort one another. But there's so much that we can be appreciative for. Forget the other stuff. It ain't gonna matter. Just move forward. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy your husband. Enjoy your wife. Enjoy your children. Enjoy your friends that you may have. Yes, I said friends. I don't believe in the whole Christian isolationism thing. I was working on a study about that to put out one of these days. Because the big proponents of that was A.W. Tozer, who wrote a book, talks about how a Christian must walk alone. Many men have kind of a bit. That's not a big deal. And C.S. Lewis was a Christian this as well. They're believing sometimes Christians should not have friends and just hang out by themselves. So I guess if they want to be monks, I guess they can, or hermits. I don't believe Christians. Now, there are other times that you need to just kind of. Today we use the term unplug because of all the electronics and so forth. But sometimes you do need to step away. Not disappear from life for 2-3 weeks, but just step away from things for a little bit. Even I should probably do that once in a while because I get so wrapped up in doing the studies and the videos and trying to write the books and so forth that, maybe I should step back once in a while. And today was a great day to step back because sometimes I'm in here for a couple of hours before I do live streams. But today it was family time today, and it was a great time today. So that was really important. I think more so could be for me, but more so for my wife and definitely for the kids. It's important for them to be with mom and dad hanging out. I'll tell you a funny story. Today, Josh was, anybody can interrupt me at any point, by the way, people are probably going to say, well, but I can't get a word in edgewise. You can interrupt me. It's okay. It's not a problem. But Josh, the youngest one, he kept on bothering about my hat. He says, Dad, how come you're not wearing your hat? Well, I was not this one, but this is the one I put on, but usually I have another hat I wear too. And Dad, you don't have your hat. How come you don't have your hat? You usually have your hat. You have your hat on. And it didn't even dawn on me that he's wearing one of his hats. And my wife finally kind of pointed out to him and goes, he's wearing a hat. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. And then he found my hat in the vehicle. And he goes, oh, Dad, here's one of your hats. I'm like, he wants me to wear a hat. I'm like, you think I would have picked up on the clues, but I didn't. And he didn't have his hat on at that moment because he had taken it off at some point in the ride. I don't know when. But so I put that. I go, all right, thanks, bud. And I put the hat on. And then I looked in a rearview mirror and I saw him put his hat back on. We forget sometimes how much our kids look up to us, look at what we're doing. Um, so I tend to pronounce my R's pretty hard up, down here from up there because it'd be, park the car, or I'm gonna go get some parts for the car. I just got an apartment, that and Alex it pronounces it that way. And the other day, I sit a certain way on the couch, and I looked over yesterday, and I looked today too, and he's sitting on the couch like he sat back in the way I do sometimes, my feet up. I get in trouble, by the way, if I put my feet on the coffee table. Um, but he's sitting like I was. So we have it's not just what we say to our kids that show whether we're doing the right things or not, but it's just things, the way we walk, the way we talk, and things like that. Kids pay attention. I'm always surprised what they remember. Man, they got like steel trap minds. They remember everything except for clean their room. Other than clean their room, they remember everything. I mean, Alex is good at cleaning sometimes. Josh not so much, but they do pay attention. Boy, all kids are like that. Well, most kids that I'm aware of, and we forget as adults sometimes. We forget how much they appreciate things that we take for granted every day. So we are leaders of these children, even when we don't know. I think some people think that they have to do these overt things to show kids stuff and be leaders, and it's just the simple things. We play Uno every Friday. We play that game Uno, the cards Uno, and we have a 3,000 point tournament going on. So that we love doing this every week. It's it's a beautiful thing to have. I personally hope that part of me wants to be caught away, but part of me wants to stay a bit longer and see that go from generation to generation. But we have a lot of fun playing Uno, and man, it's just the little things, man. And I wish that and it's an age old story, but I wish that we could sometimes look at things through a child's eyes, but we don't. The Bible tells us to, but to be like the children, but we're not. Sometimes we're just not. We don't find the joy that we should. We don't have that joyful heart like a kid does, a lot of times. Just going outside is just like the most wonderful thing in the world. And we've let ourselves be brainwashed and get bogged down. Well, I got to go to work today. I got this and that. Okay, you got to work. You're supposed to work. Are you a man? Then you should work. Clearly. I mean, it's not rocket science. You get to go to work. But think about this. There is an old saying, and I don't know what the origins are. So, but what was it? Absence longer. I might be messing that up, but I'm paraphrasing. I'll just say I'm paraphrasing just in case I get it wrong. But man, when I leave this house, I go to work and stuff like that. The kids are home, the wife's home. When I come back, and I shouldn't love them more or enjoy seeing them more when I come home, but I do, because you go away for a little while and you realize how great your life is when you get back. You work all day, you do your thing, and you get to come home to a wife who is taking care of the home. I mean, that's what a biblical, obviously. Most people know this by now, that a biblical woman, that's what they do. They take care of the home. They take care of all those things. It's not rocket science. I've talked about it before. What? I don't know, 200 and what's that? I might be wrong. It's like 218 passages, or I don't know how many verses, just all throughout the Bible. It's common sense, but a lot of people try to get away from it. But anyways, but to come home as a man, knowing that you go out there and you work, hunter gatherers, so you go out there and you work for a living, you come home and you got a beautiful wife at home who's been just working all day, cleaning, keeping things clean, making most food by scratch. I'm blessed to have a wife who does that. Most foods are by scratch and homemade, and the kids are doing well, and homeschooling and teaching them all day, and taking care of my father, obviously. So for me, I'm incredibly blessed to have that. And I wish every man could find a biblical woman like that. And there's a lot of biblical women like that out there, or there are a lot of biblical women who are striving for that, although they get put down sometimes because that's what they want to do. And they get put down a lot by the secular world. A secular world is always like that. Secular women are always about, we're on the same playing field as the man. That's it's always been that way. New ageism, new age women, all that kind of nonsense. If you get into the religious realm or the uh, biblical realm, I use quotation because these people are not biblical. The Paula Whites, the Joel Osteen's wives, and what Kenneth Copeland's wife. I don't know if she does it anymore. All these people, it's you look at all the women prophetess now, charismatic women. That's where it's big. A lot of women are the charismatic Pentecostals, so the movement are like that. Um, Man, I just wish, so make America great again. I wish we can make biblical again, instead of everybody twisting the words. But I'm going off track again. But I'm happy when I come home to that. I just thrills me to no end, and I appreciate that. Maybe not enough, but appreciate that. When the whole world is mad and angry and wanting this and wanting to be this and wanting to be that, I don't have to worry about that at my home. You know, and it's a wonderful feeling because you come home, you see your kids, you see your wife. It's just, you're happy to be home, and work is work. You kind of leave it behind, and you enjoy that. But we have all of those things in our lives that we can look for that make us better, and feel better. I hate saying the word "feel better" because we're not about feelings, but you know, my wish for every born again Christian guy out there is to find a biblical woman that does these things. And I am beyond measure. I guess the term is overused sometimes, but I am blessed, and I don't get to sit around and do what I do and just sit here and talk and work on writing the books without my wife. She does to keep this family running. She does. She keeps the family. Oh, yeah, the man's supposed to keep the family running. No, the woman keeps the family running in that house. Outside and everything else that goes around it, yeah, the man takes care of those. He goes to work. He does all those things. He does, yes. But that's my little talk on that, I guess you can say, because I guess personally, I've been thinking a lot more. And as you get older, you do that. You think about these things more, and you think about how you messed up. I mean, listen, when I was younger, I'll just talk about the woman aspect of things. As I was younger, as a young Christian, as a young Pentecostal Christian, I also was brainwashed to believe that men and women were equal in and how they were in the church, and that's not true. That is not true at all. That and all women can do all the same things, and just like men could do that, but that's false. And I learned that when I left the Pentecostal church, and was no longer brainwashed by that thought process. Men and women are equal in different ways, but not in other ways. But the problem is they taught they're equal on every single level. No, because men can't do and are not supposed to do what women do, and women can't do or are not supposed to do what men do. It's not rocket science, and I don't know why that's so confusing. But the Pentecostal church will mess that all up, man. They've messed a lot of people up with that theology. The charismatic movement the same way, but charismatic kind of branches from that whole Pentecostal thing, because I think you really got like what was it, Brownsville down in Florida, and then you had the whole laughing thing up in Toronto and Texas and England, and really change it from just only Pentecostal into more of a charismatic Pentecostal, and then you got more you do Pentecostal. It's really weird how that was. You go from I don't want to say the founder, but one of the founders, Dowd, I think his name is, and then you get to now, 80 your Oral Roberts and so forth. But now you have a whole slew of wackos out there, just wackos and nuts in the movement. It's crazy. It's just absolutely insane. And it would just be a time when women and men knew their roles, and their roles were designed by the Bible, and they stuck to it, and they were better off for it. But it's a new world, isn't it? It's a new age world going into a new world order. News. You ever notice that? New international version. You get a lot of new stuff like that. But doesn't mean it's the best. And that is for darn sure. I pray that more men will find women like that. And I pray that more women are not deceived by that whole Pentecostal outlook of, women can be preachers, and women can do this, and women can do that. And, they claim to be able to do a lot of things except for the one or the few things that they definitely are supposed to. And that's, I don't know, stay home and rear the children, take care of the home. I can see, here's the thing. Okay, we're gonna get to guys. I don't know what's going on tonight, but I feel like lecturing for some odd reason. I don't know why. I apologize. If you are a true biblical woman, you have absolutely no time. Now, if you with a family, you have no time to be preaching or doing Rumble videos or documentaries or YouTube. You get up every morning, and before you go to bed, you know how much you're doing to keep this family running? And I'm aware of it. But that's the beauty of it, because women do that, it gives the ability and the freedom, and I shouldn't say freedom because somebody's going to take it wrong, for the men to go do what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be out there. We're the face. But too many women want to be the face. And that's a shame. And men, there are too many men allowing it to happen. Taking a step back and going, well, I used to be, against women doing these certain things, but since I've been married, I think it's a great thing. Oh boy. See what happens? That's a shame. And I do question the manliness at that point, or who you are as a man when all of a sudden you were one way, and then suddenly, well, I mean, we can all. Oh boy, you took a hard stance on something, then you get married. I was fortunate because I didn't have to take a hard stance and then take another hard stance, or try to take a hard stance against my wife, because she was already a biblical woman. Like I didn't even have to say, she was more about it than I even thought she would be. She understood the Bible and the woman's, role in the Bible more than I could possibly tell her, which makes her an incredible woman to me. Amazing. And I was stunned by it, because a lot of women have difficulty today's world because of not only the flesh and feelings and emotions and what they're being taught by the Pentecostals and the Charismatics, the Methodists, all your mainstream denominations, really, and a lot of your mainstream Baptists too. You got a few hardcore ones out there, but even there's some Baptists too. They've gone south too. Well, I don't mean really south, although they did go south. There were a lot of Baptists in the north, and then less in the south. And a lot of people don't realize how many Catholics were here in the south. I mean, they came into Florida, right? So I mean, you came in that way, and they were very hardcore in the Civil War and the Confederacy. They backed that, being the president there. What's his name? I was gonna say James Madison, but that is not it at all. Oh my goodness. Jefferson Davis, he was Catholic, along with his vice president, who I think was a Jew or married a Jew, but Alexander Stevens, who's also was a Catholic as well. A lot of your generals were Catholic, Episcopals, some Lutheran in there, not many, but there were some Lutheran as well. But yeah, that was a whole switch up right there. But anyways, that's a whole other ball of wax. But a lot of things switch up and change out, and people get so confused and mixed up, and because we just watch too many things. And I think when we watch things, we look for people or channels or Bibles even that fit with what we believe, or what we feel, I should say, what we feel. And again, it's not about what we feel, it's about what the truth is. If it ain't here, we're not supposed to be doing it. Just that simple. And we tend to twist things in there to fit our narrative. Not happening. Sometimes we're just a little confused. I'll be doing a study tomorrow about this, but I'll make this real brief. A gentleman, I was made a comment in one of his videos because I want to see how he was doing. I forgot all about the guy, and I was like, yeah, I want to see what he's doing. I'm not going to mention him. That's not what I'm doing. This is not one of them call out videos, and I'm going to call somebody out. But he was put my glasses on. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9 in your King James Bible. Absolutely true. Amen. We want what we want instead of what we're supposed to have. We want to do what we want except for the things that we're supposed to do. Kind of how that rolls, isn't it? Excellent verse. Thank you, Brother Jorge. You know, it is a mixed up, crazy time. We fit narratives. And I think what I was saying earlier, and Brother Jorge, this is going to sound weird. Thank you for interrupting me, because I don't mind when I get interrupted. This is about everybody, so I never mind. But that gentleman said something about interracial marriage, and he had quoted a verse that he used to support, or basically say that the Bible is not against interracial marriage because of this verse. And that's, I hate saying dangerous thing to do, but that tends to get a little mixed up and messed up, because you can take a verse out of context or not know what it's referring to if you don't do more studying or do research on it. Now, this has got nothing to do with me saying that I'm for or against interracial marriage. In fact, it doesn't matter if I am for or against interracial marriage. It matters what the Bible says or believes. But I find that sometimes we use verses or scriptures to defend things that have nothing to do with what we're trying to defend. And this, he was using 1 Timothy 4, verse, 3, I think. And it was not to forbid marriage. And I think he didn't understand what that was, the context was of those verses. They were not referring to interracial marriage at all. In fact, they had a direct, it wasn't a generalized statement. It was for a direct time frame, and all of time frame, but it was for a direct reason of why, where, and what it had to do with. And that was to do with over in Ephesus at that time frame, because you have to remember the time period. Ephesus was a great difficult time. Ephesus at that time was a hub, but you also had Diana that was over there, that we know, we've heard in the Bible. We know the Temple of Artemis and things like that. And you had a mixture of certain Jews, and you had some pagans, and you had some pagan priests, and they were going around and saying, hey, you can't you can't have marriage, you can't do this, you can't do that. And that was for Timothy, going, hey, you need to let these Christians know that we got over there. They can't be doing that. Now, I'm not saying he said those words. I'm paraphrasing. But his point was, don't tell them not to fall for that nonsense. We're not speaking. No, you can marry. You can do these things. It didn't have anything to do with marriage of a particular fact. If you really want to get into it, there was a lack of better wording, segregation, so to speak, that you were marrying certain areas, and that's where you stayed. So that was an actual thing. But that was not what that had to do with. That was really on that and the celibacy and food and all that kind of stuff. And that was what was going on at that time. We're talking first century here, the mid to, I want to say the latter part, mid to latter, however you want to look at it. That's what that was in reference to. So I'm going to talk about that more tomorrow, a little bit further. But sometimes we have to look at a whole chapter. We have to understand who we're talking to. I remember one time, I've heard this a few times actually. Who was I talking to? Oh no, I was listening to one of them New Age guys. I think it was Tim Keller. I'm pretty sure it's Tim Keller. He's a Calvinist, I think, Reformed Baptist thing or whatever. He might have been. I don't think he was Calvinist because it wouldn't have been Calvin. I don't know. Anyways, he was talking about how Paul wasn't writing to Timothy. Why is it called Timothy? To my brother Timothy, but it wasn't to Timothy. It was to everybody. Okay, he wrote it to Timothy for everybody, and he had to go to those churches, right? So he's talking to Timothy. He's giving Timothy instructions, but it's not for Timothy. That's a scratch ahead moment, isn't it? But the reason being is he went on to discuss this. I'm pretty sure it's Tim Keller. Somebody. I can't remember the last name. I know the first name's Tim. But he was going on this nonsense of it was to even the women. I'm like, aha. That was his angle. That was the angle because because what they call it, the pastoral epistles, right? So that's what the name of the epistles as a grouping are called. We can have a debate or argue, not debate because we're not supposed to be debating. We can have that discussion of whether we should call it pastoral epistles or not. That's not the point, but that's the reason that this gentleman was going down. So, and that's a mainstream theology. That's kind of, women and men are the same, interchangeable. It's pretty sad, but unfortunately, a lot of young people get wrapped up into it. And I get it because I was younger and I believe some of these things until as you get older, you realize, yeah, I don't know how I would believe that nonsense. And you can tell people nonsense. You can tell them, young people or even older people, you can tell them and just won't listen. They won't listen until one day they have an epiphany and it hits them. Like, hold on. I never fully read this. I just listened to this guy say it, and I just went with what he said. He sounded like he knew what he was talking about, and it worked. And there you go. And then you end up in that situation. That's a tough deal. That's a tough deal. Thank you for letting me unprofessionally drink my water on camera. Because as we all know, this is a professional show. It's not a professional show at all. We have to, it's a tough to stand, I guess. I mean, I don't find it personally as tough because it doesn't bother me, but it's tough to stand for things today. It really is. Because we'll stand. There are some Christians who'll stand on certain things. They're like, yes, I'm a stance on that one. And they're like, I mean, if they want to do what they do, so you don't want to do it, why? Well, I mean, because it's pretty popular and everybody likes it, and I don't want to look bad. That's really what it comes down to. You don't want to attack something too popular, because then there might be an issue. That's a shame. But I know that I've got to mark my calendar because there are so many holidays that I have to celebrate. There's so many of them, which I can, by the way, because, Christian liberty. Okay, that mocks a lot of people. I know. I don't care. I'm done with that whole thing. People want to choose to sin, they're going to choose to sin. I find that the Christian liberty, those who believe in Christian liberty are also under the whole free grace thing, that whole free grace doctrine, which means you can do whatever you want. because God knows you're a sinner, so cool. Ain't it weird? Just strange. I so many things that people get wrapped up into and fooled with. I just you want to give them the warnings, and you try to warn them, you try to give them a heads up, and they just won't listen. They just won't. And you're like, it drives you nuts, because it's not as if you want them to do what you want to do. You're sitting there going, where is it, and how do you twist something? My favorite is, if it's not in the Bible, not in this book, then you don't do it. But then they'll turn around and say, well, I only do it because it's not in the Bible and it doesn't say I can't do it. Oh, so now if it doesn't say I can't do it, I can do it. We fit things in. We speak this way, and we speak this way. I've said this before. And I've got to take a hard stance. I don't, go nuts and start pounding the table or anything. But I think, for me, it makes it easier to take a hard stance because I come home to a wonderful wife, a beautiful wife, and I got great kids. Yes, they're a pain in the neck sometimes because they're kids. That's especially if they're boys. They get into some trouble, they get a little wild, but they're amazing kids. Every morning, they're up every morning out there getting the chickens done, the feed, the water, all that, getting the dog out, and they do a wonderful job. I mean, I get on the cases sometimes, but they do a great job. I'm really proud of them. But I lost my train of thought. I apologize, but it's we have to be more vigilant, more visible about standing for things. You know me, I don't celebrate Christmas. I obviously don't participate in Halloween. Abstain from all appearances of evil. Hello. Not a rocket scientist needs to know that one. I don't celebrate Martin Luther King Day. I don't celebrate President's Day. I don't celebrate this. I don't know. I'm trying to think of all the holidays, but Resurrection Day, we'll have a different conversation. Did he not rise? Does he not live? We've got to stop, because you don't look any different than other Christians. You go to the football games, you go to the baseball game, you go to the basketball games. You hang with the world, but you say you're different. You do what the world does. Sometimes you pick and choose what you do with the world. How are you different? And that becomes an issue. Take a hard stance. I would rather have 3 to 5. Now I'm doing a prison jail sentence. 3 to 5. Oh yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I forgot all about that. Thank you. Well, that's time. What's it, February 8th? I'm going to talk to myself in the third party. Steven is going to be doing something on that. I forgot all about that. Thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate that. That's another one. Yikes. How many people don't know about Valentine's Day? My goodness. Okay, wait a minute. What's today? I think we can. When is Valentine's Day? Today is the 8th, right? So 6 days? Oh man, that's going to be before the next live stream. Too bad we couldn't talk about it on the live stream. We could talk about the day afterwards. Let's see. Right? Am I right? It would be next Friday, I think. 6 days, 7 days. No. When is it again? The 14th, right? It's the 14th. Right, it's the 14th. And they moved the exoneration of the saint that they have onto the 15th, I believe. In fact, the Pope, what was his name? The Pope that was in charge of all that. Provgal, you might remember who it is. The Pope that was in charge. I forgot his name already. But he was talked about in the annals of church history and religion and so forth. as what a great man he was, because he bridged the gap from paganism to Christianity. Hey, there's a red flag. But a lot of Christians celebrate Valentine's Day. And I will say, a lot of people don't know. I didn't know in my earlier youth, when I was a Christian, that Valentine's Day had anything to do with certain things. Why? Because that should have fallen on these godly men that we follow. They should have been teaching that, but they don't. Godly men that were supposed to be godly men did not teach against these things that were wrong and they were evil. Why? Because that would affect their tithing, their donations, their offerings. And today we can say that about some jokers online too. A bunch of frauds out there who do the same thing. They don't want to lose their donations, their offerings. They don't call them tithes because they're on the internet, because they don't want to be in church because they're against tithes. And I'm against tithes too. Don't get me wrong. Completely against it. Tithes is the dumbest thing in the world, because you'd have to do about 12,000 different tithings. They were the third day of the week, the third month, the fourth day, but the second week and the third hour. They were all different times to tithe. But anyways, let's get off this for a second. But these godly men don't teach. It's not in your church buildings. It's not online either. So don't think because, well, you know what? They're not teaching church and they're going to be teaching against it. No, they don't even do it out there either. Because why? It's a Christian liberty, isn't it? It's a Christian liberty to follow evil. Well, I mean, if I celebrate God on that day, why? Is that the day you think you got to celebrate more? Where were you the day before? Where were you the day after? That really bugs me, man. It really does. I mean, you pretend to be all in. And some people don't know. I'm not talking about the people who are pretending like the people who are watching other people. These men out there who call themselves pastors and preachers and teachers, they're a bunch of goofballs. They're liars. They tell you, kind of like a lot of the Baptist churches and the Catholic churches and the Presbyterian churches and all these people, they give you just enough to think they're telling the truth, but then they slide in all the other nonsense. They bring truth and they backdoor the lies. Now I'm getting all riled up. But a lot of Christians don't know. Is it their fault? And no. You know, they don't do due diligence. Why? Because they're not taught to be diligent and do the legwork. We're all guilty. I'm just as guilty as anybody else. I didn't do it for a long time. I didn't do it for a long time either. It doesn't mean that that Christian is not a Christian. Doesn't mean that they're not saved. Doesn't mean they're a horrible person. They just don't realize they are taking part of something that has an evil history. But we can turn evil into good. Man, what does Isaiah say? Well, too. I mean, he talks about evil and good and evil, doesn't he? We call evil good, and we call good evil, and we're all mixed up. And we lost the way, we blurred the lines, we changed things and how we do, and what if I this and what if I that? No, be separate from it. That's it. We just got to be separate from it. Again, it gets down to, and you know, my King James brethren, they're famous for this, much more famous. Baptists are the same way. I like the Baptists when it comes to certain things, and I think they're nuts when it comes to other things. But what do they say? If it's not in here, right? It's not in here. But if it's not in there and they want to do it, what do they use? Christian liberty. Every time. Doing it for years. It's nothing new. Christian liberty. Oh, I would never. Abortion day. Hey, you can't kill babies. Why? Well, it's in the Bible. You can't kill them. Good for you. Good for taking that stance. What a hard stance that must have been as a born-again Christian to say you're against abortion. Of course we're supposed to be against it. It shouldn't even be a debate. But there are Christians who do debate it, though. Like, well, what if? Oh, boy. And I'm in trouble. You don't know. I've had a miscarriage. Maybe I'll tell that story someday. I wiped that blood off the floor. not knowing it was a baby. Well, it's not a baby. It's just cells in it, a clump of cells in it, blah, blah, blah. You're a horrible human being. You want to call yourself that. That's a horrible thing to say. And I threw in the trash and not knowing. So the doctor came and said, "Hey, did you wipe something up off the floor?" And I'm like, "Oh, no." If it's not in here, we don't do it. It's not, well, I like it. Sue Christian Liberty? Huh? Or that's my, Josh does that. He goes, "So can maybe we get some ice cream?" A little smile. I'm like, "No, we're not getting ice cream." You know, I feel like Christian's the same way. I'm like, "So I enjoy these things. Christian Liberty?" No, it's not Christian Liberty. Oh, you mean I can't sin? Yeah, no. But I like that stuff. I like to willfully sin. Yeah, no. A little sarcasm there, but that's where we're at. And that's what makes me unpopular. Because unfortunately, even things that are popular, I'm not going to bow down to them, but people do. People want to be different to a certain point. They don't want to be completely different. They don't want to be outcast. Oh, no. Because the 12 disciples, they weren't outcast. They were just like everybody else. Wait, no, they actually weren't. They were before they became new people. I mean, they were still the same people, persons, but you know what I mean. They were outcasts. Nobody wanted them. The governments didn't want them. Those who that had the religions and celebrate all these things over and over and over again, part of these different sects, they didn't want them. They were outsiders. They were outcasts. We want them. A bunch of wackos. But then there were people who said, "Wow, these guys, these disciples, they're standing for something. They're standing against everything. They're not moving. They're not budging the ground. They're not caving in." Okay, Judas Iscariot, obviously, somebody probably make that comment, and Peter did deny. But in the long run, they didn't bow down. They didn't do that. They gave up everything. But you're better than they are because you're Christian Liberty. So you're good. Is it over an hour? I think it is. I just looked at the screen. It's an hour and 5 minutes. Oh, these glasses are pretty bright. Yikes. They're really clear. Let's wrap this up. It's an hour and 5 minutes. I don't want to be boring everybody all night long. I do appreciate your time. I really do. I'm thankful. I'm always thankful. I'm always grateful. I say it. And we'll let y'all know. Well, there's only a few of you here, but that's okay. When that book actually gets published, got the proof copy coming in, but that's a whole different conversation. But if you got time to come back tomorrow, we'll talk about the whole 1 Timothy 4:3. That'll be fun. That'll ruffle some feathers. Might stir the pot with some. But that's what I do. Because stay true. I don't care what people think. I don't get wrapped up in the silly little games of children. Just stay there. That's it. You might have less friends, but again, do you want real friends or do you want people who are just they kind of know you, but they don't with you because some of the things you say are not up their alley. Man, we start condemning each other. Oh boy, all the grown-ups are missing today. Miss the days when you knew who the adults were. Now nobody knows who the adults are anymore. It's so sad. All right. Thanks for your time. Please remember, I know the brother got some weather up there, but you got your lovely daughter. So remember that. Remember to focus on those things. I know things get crazy. It's wild. There's some newscasts. You can watch different news things or that you like, and this bill and that bill, this executive order, that executive order. Get wrapped up. Don't get ripped in. Look at what you got. You got a beautiful life. You are born again. You are saved. You got nothing to be worried about. You know where you're going. No, they don't know where they're going. You know, you have that certainty. If you stay right, you are guaranteed. Guaranteed. You might get arthritis in my knee. I just tapped my knee. You might get arthritis in your knee. You might get this, that, and the other, but that's okay because you get the new body one day, won't you? You're going to be good. So all the bad stuff that happens along the way in your life, don't worry about it because there's so many other great things that can happen to you. And I'm not saying live your best life now. I'm not talking about all that silliness. But I'm like right in the face of the camera there. I just noticed. Yikes. Enjoy every moment that you have with your family and your loved ones. Keep on spreading the word. I tell you, keep on putting gospel tracks wherever you can. Get Bible in anybody's hands that you're able to. Just keep that going. And whenever there's an opportunity to share. And just be ready. Just be ready. You never know who's listening. All right. With that, I will say thank you. I hope everyone has a wonderful, blessed week with the regular difficulties that come along with it, but know that you are saved and you're golden. I'm going to awkwardly hit the end stream button because I'm such a professional at this. Listen, have a wonderful week if I don't talk to you before that. God bless and have a beautiful night.